WWE, she's on the show far too much these days, man. And you might be thinking to yourselves, Ross, you're moaning about nothing. But let me tell you, we're seeing Selena Vega so much, we're going to become sick and tired of seeing a very good thing. WWE, you can't have too much of a good thing. Just look at the size of me gut. I've had too much of the pie, too much of the beer, and I'm paying for it now, so I am. But while this week's episode of Monday Night Vega was very, very enjoyable indeed, the good outweighed the bad in my opinion, with this week's episode taking place on 420. Blaze it, you mother bleepers. There were more than a few moments that had you thinking, wow, I have indeed smoked a massive fat bifter and I'm higher than Matt Riddle on this glorious 420 day. Something that should be impossible. Hit the intro, Matthew. WTF! Hey all you cool cats and kittens! Did Drew McIntyre turn heel at the start of this week's Monday Night Vega by advocating that no good bitch Carol Baskin? I think he might have. Drew, I need to know if you like this woman or not, so next week on Raw, when you're making your way down to the ring, look right into the camera and say that woman, she probably fed her husband to a tiger, just to confirm you don't like her like the rest of the world probably don't, from my point of view anyway. Dun 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 dun. Universal Champion on Raw. How very 2016 to 2018 of you, WWE. Get your graphics updated, man, Kevin Dunn. And then we have Big Daddy Drew saying this being on Monday Night Raw is truly the highlight of my week. And imagine being Mrs. McIntyre at home, hearing your husband say that. I don't know about you sat at home, but if I was Mrs. McIntyre and I heard Mr. McIntyre saying that on WWE Raw, I would be truly offended. Just imagine you're hearing that, your husband risking his health to appear on this very not essential wrestling program is the highlight of his week, when he probably spends the rest of his week at home with you. Is everything okay at home, Drew and Mrs. McIntyre? And then he went and did it again. Yes, he can stand there on Raw and make the case that Seth Rollins, rightfully so, is one of the most decorated superstars in WWE history, and because of that, he deserves a shot at the Universal Kevin Dunn Championship. But come on, Drew. Professional wrestling, as we all know, is a what have you done for me lately business. And what has Seth Rollins done lately? He lost not once, but twice to Kevin Owens on the grandest stage of them all. Point at the lovely sign at WrestleMania. So despite the fact he stomped on your massive, glorious head on last week's Raw, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins should be nowhere near the WWE/Universal Championship, depending on what Kevin Dunn wants to call it next week. First big show, now Seth Rollins. Who is next, Drew McIntyre? The Brooklyn Brawler? Dave Benson Phillips? That no good bitch Carol Baskin? I'd quite like to see that last one. Now, I'd never ever thought I'd be saying this about two men who look like that, but what a pair of cooks. They had the chance to take out Drew McIntyre, the numbers game, the advantage was in their favour, but they stood there and did nothing, and more than that, they looked scared, like a pair of scaredy cats and kittens. Now you can say this made Drew McIntyre look massive and big and strong and scary. It did. You can say that Angel Garza and Austin Theory, they're a pair of heels. They should be scaredy cats from time to time. They were last night. But they're also a really good and talented pair of professional wrestlers, and them not doing that when the numerical advantage was in their favour just makes them look really, really silly. So silly, in fact, I feel compelled to make it a WTF moment. Build them up, man. Jerry Lawler should not be appearing on Monday Night Raw, and no, not because his head is still stuck in 1994. It's because he's a very old man, WWE, and we're in the midst of a global pandemic. Leave the guy at home. And then we have a direct quote from Jerry Lawler to Zelina Vega when he said, "Every time I look at you, it's like looking at a camera. It makes me smile." Now I get it, casual fans and all of that, but it's really bloody weird when you know, isn't it? And I'm not going to mention what I'm actually referencing here, just in case you don't know. You should know. Why are you watching this video if you don't know? But the WTF moment here has to be the fact they didn't reference it at all, apart from one moment where Selena Vega said, "Oh, I've never seen him do that before," when Big Tommy Black hooked on an armbar ting. Unless, of course, the pair of them there are that argumentative at home, and what we were seeing there was art imitating life. In which case, you have to put Aleister Black alongside Drew McIntyre on a list of WWE current roster superstars who aren't having very good marriages. Maybe. I still can't believe he said Raw was the highlight of his week. His wife mustn't watch. And then we have a direct quote from Selena Vega herself when she said, "I mean, who doesn't love a woman on top?" But then, of course, after being cut off by Byron Saxton, she clarified her statement. She said, "On top of her game, but I was thinking, just like you at home, everybody, Mrs. Selena, matron." That's it. That tweet there, that's the WTF moment. Put it away, Mick. So then we have Charlie Caruso asking questions about Sarah Logan and Shayna Baszler answering the question and also mentioning the name of Sarah Logan. And given WWE's track record of being really petty to the superstars they have scandalously released in years gone by, the mere mention of Sarah Logan's name on a Raw after she was released has got to be a WTF moment, doesn't it? They look like they're setting up a feud when half of that feud no longer works for the company, and that is strange. So then we get to the official ruling of that Hartwell versus Shayna Baszler matchup, and the announcer said the referee has ruled that Indi Hartwell cannot continue. And I was thinking he didn't even ask her. It wasn't like this in my day when Shayna Baszler was doing that backward stompy arm thingy in the middle of big NXT takeover matchups, and the woman she was doing it to could continue and finish that match. What am I doing this back in my day thing for? How long has this isolation thing been going on for? So first of all, we have Jerry Lawler calling the team of Brendan, Vink and Shane Thorne Vink and Thorne. And then Tom Phillips replying, "Wow, King, that was so creative." Half the teams in WWE and professional wrestling as a whole say hello, Tom Phillips. And that's including the team of Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, who were sharing the ring with Vink and Thorne when you said that. Tom Phillips shoots on WWE Creative. I can see the headlines now. And then Tom Phillips went back to doing what Tom Phillips does best, and that is face fornicating anything that moves on WWE Raw commentary when he claimed that the tag team tandem of Ricochet and Cedric Alexander and their very creative name had been on a roll on WWE Raw before last week's defeat to the Viking Raiders. They won one match. That match was against Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. Oney Lorcan, of course, who Jerry Lawler doesn't even think is a real wrestler, even though he's a very good wrestler and he has massive fingers, and hope he shoves one up Jerry Lawler's arm. But one match, Tom, is that really on a roll? Now, I don't want to be one of those people really harshly picking at Nia Jax. Accidents, they happen in the professional wrestling. But Nia, you can't be calling out people like Ronda Rousey for supposedly hurting people like Alexa Bliss with the track record you've got, a track record that was added to on this week's episode of Monday Night Vega when you tried to do a buckle bomb to Kairi Sane and you failed to do a buckle bomb to Kairi Sane. You just about gave that woman whiplash, for goodness sake. Be more self-aware, Nia, and be more bloody careful in the ring. And then we learned that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins have a double throne in their house, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Of course, I would expect the Monday Night Messiah, an all-round arsehole, Seth Rollins, to have a double throne in his house. One seat for each arse cheek. But Becky Lynch, I thought you were better than that. You've changed. Tom Phillips came back on the commentary, doing what he does best, face fornicating everything that moves and or has a pulse, when he said Drew McIntyre accepting the WWE Championship challenge from Drew McIntyre for Money in the Bank. He's got Drew McIntyre on the brain. Take this to Meltzer. Tom Phillips fancies Drew McIntyre. Thing Gers, eye, holes. Oh, I don't have 4 eyes. But how cringy was that from the Viking Raiders? And you know, I know about cringe because look at the absolute plight of these WTF Moments videos. Why the hell have they taken all of the scariness and the hardness and the we're big scary Vikingness away from the Viking Raiders when what they were doing they just don't have. They were trying to force blood out of a Viking stone and it was bloody painful. I would not be surprised if you're logging on the internet today and you're seeing headlines everywhere of the Viking Raiders request their release from WWE, because that last night was scandalous. What the hell are you doing to them, man? Mike Rome claims that MVP weighs 275 pounds. Tom Phillips then claims that MVP weighs 250 pounds. And Ross Twaddell here reckons MVP weighs nowhere near either of those figures. So then we have Tom Phillips back once again with the face fornicating behaviour when he claimed that Apollo Crews' win over an ageing MVP in a Money in the Bank qualifying match was the biggest win of Apollo's career. Now I did a bit of a dive back into my empty brain and I remember Money in the Bank 2016, Apollo Crews was on the main card defeating Sheamus, who was quite good at the wrestling, don't you know? And I don't know about you at home, but Tom Phillips, I reckon a big pay-per-view win against a big scary wrestler like Sheamus is bigger and better than a qualifying match win over an older MVP. More mentions of Sarah Logan by name on a WWE Raw after she's been released from the company. Normally, these people who are released and go away from WWE are dead to Vince McMahon, but this is truly unprecedented scenes here when it comes to Sarah Logan. She must be coming back. She must be. Ronald Mysterious, tell me why you would shout 619 when the only people in the arena are Buddy Murphy and the referee and a few select others. You're giving away a game plan there, aren't you? Why would you do that, you silly goose? Now I know that from a strictly business point of view, NXT Women's Champion Charlotte Flair appearing on Monday Night Raw, the old flagship show, the longest weekly episodic television show in the history of everything apart from Coronation Street, that makes sense. But can somebody at home watching this video please tell me in a strictly kayfabe sense, why is Charlotte Flair still appearing and wrestling on Monday Night Raw? Kayfabe, tell me the reason why. Angel Garza's theme did not need changing. So why was it changed? I'm just a sexy boy. Hey, I'm not your boy. Hey. He was doing the Sean thing from the 90s. And that's it for all the WTF moments from this week's thrilling installment of Monday Night Vega. I hope she doesn't get ruined by overexposure, but again, a lot of good, some really weird, but on the whole, ta-da!